Hello, Chosen One. I am the Black Bear Guai, the Black Wind King from the Black Wind Cave on Black Wind Mountain. Have you heard of me? And as for that young monk named Jinshi, let those little monkeys tell you our story.
The young monk named Jinshi was catching a golden toad. Why did he do this? Was it for money, for food, or for his cultivation? Here, the golden toad is the embodiment of the young monk's greed. The appearance of the black bear spirit has a two-sided meaning: the destroyed shed and the acquired wealth. The black bear spirit is both a demon and the personification of Jinshi's greed. After all, when the black bear spirit was holding a money bag in its mouth, there were magnificent jade palaces and golden mansions behind it. Jinshi was pulling a heavy luggage with both hands, cultivating in the mundane world. The young monk grew up in such an environment that he could never hold his head up while walking. In this world filled with material desires, the ladder of cultivation seemed unattainable. From childhood to old age, the thought of greed had run through his entire life. Jinshi used the gold and silver treasures of the black bear spirit to buy the most magnificent cassock, the most imposing monk's staff, the grandest temple, and the tallest statue of the Buddha. He stepped onto the ladder, climbing higher and higher, and thus gradually reached the peak, becoming a highly respected monk in the eyes of everyone. In his later years, Jinshi was trying his best to restrain his greed and competitive mentality. Dressing simply, as the highest-ranking monk in the monastery, he didn't need to prove anything to anyone, but when he met Tang Seng, the brocade cassock aroused his greed, and Jinshi immediately lost his self-control. Thus, the tragedy began. He chanted Buddhist mantras, but evil thoughts arose in his heart again. The shadow of the black bear engulfed his body, and he merged with the black bear and his evil thoughts. Becoming a Buddha or a demon was just a thin line. The greedy Jinshi tried to put on Tang Seng's brocade cassock, but was backlashed by this precious Buddhist artifact. The Buddhist karma fire purified Jinshi and his temple, leaving only a persistent thought of greed. The environment a person is in has a great impact on him. He will shape himself through comparison with others, others' evaluation of him, and his own self-evaluation. And when Elder Jinshi put on the cassock, it was the most perfect self in his heart, his own idol. And this was all pointed out by Guanyan.
Master, it still puzzles me. A monk's lust for gold should be quelled. Why does Elder Jinshi still cling to that one Kasaya?
Bereft of that Kasaya, how shall they show the world their ties are cut and their lust is quelled?
In the original work, apart from being a bit greedy, the black bear spirit was quite decent. The green lion, the white elephant, and the ROC in Shichawala listened to the Buddha's sermons under the seats of the Buddha, Manjusri, and Samantabhadra all day long. But after going down the mountain, they became demons, harming countless lives. The terrifying scene in Shichuo country even startled the Monkey King. The goldfish raised by Guanyan ate boys and girls in Tangchun River for 7 years. On the contrary, wild-formed spirits like the black bear spirit had a better nature. The black bear spirit is definitely a mature and reliable man. He knew what he wanted and was willing to work hard for his pursuits. He was very filial, regarding his birthday as the day of his mother's suffering and always remembering the kindness of his parents' upbringing. When inviting others to the banquet, he was humble, polite, sincere, and friendly. The invitation letter he wrote to Elder Jinshi showed his high-level culture. At the same time, he was also very loyal. When he saw the Guanyin monastery on fire, he rushed to put out the fire immediately. However, after seeing the Buddhist treasure, the brocade cassock, although he was tempted to steal it and even planned to hold a Buddha robe gathering, his original intention remained unchanged before seeing the cassock. Besides, the cassock was a real fairy-made magic weapon bestowed by the Buddha. For those with low spiritual cultivation, anyone would be tempted. Moreover, the Black Bear spirit renovated his cave into a fairy-like blessed land. Even Guanyan liked it when she saw it. The Black Wind Mountain and the Black Wind Cave may sound a bit dark, but in fact, it was a holy place for cultivating immortality. There are poems in the original work to praise it. Thousands of valleys compete in flowing, and thousands of cliffs vie in beauty. The birds are singing, but no one is seen, and the flowers have fallen, but the trees still smell fragrant. After the rain, the sky and the green cliffs seem moist, and when the wind comes, the pine trees roll up like green screens spreading. The mountain grass sprouts, the wildflowers bloom. The cliffs are steep and the peaks are sharp. The ivy and vines grow, the fine trees are beautiful, and the high mountains and flat ridges are magnificent. If you don't meet a hermit, where can you find a woodcutter? By the stream, 2 cranes are drinking, and on the stone, wild apes are playing wildly. The piled-up snails stand upright in rows of dark green colors, and the lofty mountains embrace the greenery and play with the hazy light. Isn't this much better than the desolate and evil places like Wangfengling and Shichu? However, no one is perfect. The Black Bear spirit's spiritual cultivation was not completely complete, and he still had a trace of greed. He had the idea of possessing the cassock, which symbolized the Buddha. On the one hand, it was a kind of greed. On the other hand, it showed that his nature was not bad, but he needed to be disciplined. So both he and the Monkey King were bound by the golden hoop. The forbidden hoop implies the prohibition of greed. The 3 forbidden hoops of Guanyan respectively correspond to greed, anger, and infatuation. The Black Bear spirit represents greed, the Monkey King represents anger, and Red Boy represents infatuation. Moreover, the Black Bear spirit finally achieved enlightenment earlier than the Monkey King, entered the formal establishment, and became the great god, guarding the mountain of Guanyan Bodhisattva. It can be said that his merits were quite complete.